everyone, it's Lindsay. Welcome back to another video. Today I want to share with you how to make these quick teacher cards with this layered apple SVG file. So you can find this in my Etsy shop. It comes with the layered SVG. It also just comes with a PNG of it all layered if you want just a sticker image or if you want to print and cut the image. Or it also comes with the different layers, and I'll show you what you can do with that at the end of this video. So, first things first, I'm starting on my iPad. You can also start on your computer too. My iPad just is a little bit easier to film. And I'm using Cricut Design Space because I have a Cricut Maker. You can use whatever software that you like. I'm going to go ahead and first upload my thanks frame sentiment. This set is also in my Etsy shop. I will leave the link down below. I am sizing this to 4 1/4 inches wide. That will automatically make it 5 1/2 inches tall. And I like to do this all in one go because then I can go ahead and bring in my Apple SVG and size it to fit inside that frame. So there you can see all the different options you're going to get with this SVG file. I'm going to go ahead and click the one that is all together, the SVG, and all of my different layers are going to load into the program at once. That is going to put them all on different layers, and the program is going to recognize them to cut on different mats. And you'll see what I mean in just a moment. I went ahead and sized that by about 2 inches wide, and that's going to automatically adjust the height. And then that's going to fit nicely inside my thanks frame. That is why I like to do it all at once. I can kind of picture how it's going to look then, and then I'm going to click Make It. Now you can see every one of my layers is on a different mat. That is going to allow me to have each one of these cut on a different color of paper. I am using a different color of cardstock for each one of my layers. This is going to give me that nice layered 3D look. I'm changing these to 8 1/2 by 11 sheets of cardstock because that's what I'm using today. And here's a look at my colors. So I have 3 different shades of red. I have a dark, a medium, and a light. I have a dark and a light green, and I also have a dark and a light brown. So I have quite a few different colors of cardstock. I'm also going to throw in a craft color, and that's going to be the color I cut my frame. I'm cutting these on heavyweight cardstock, so I'm going to change the settings of my paper. And I'm going to go ahead and click that little button that says remember this setting. That way I don't need to go in and make this a heavyweight paper each and every time. So once I click that and I click to cut or to make it, then that is going to start the process. So it's going to show me what layer I'm cutting. So with my thanks, I'm going to cut that from craft. So I'm going to load that onto my mat, insert that into my cutting machine, and follow the instructions. The great thing about Cricut Design Space is it gives you those instructions. You know exactly what to do and when to do it. Once I've cut that, it's going to go to the next layer. I know that this is my base layer of my apple, and if I look at my photo, that's going to be the lightest color of cardstock. And here's everything I cut out. I'm not going to take you through all of the different layers, but let's have a look. I've got my thanks frame. I've got my 3 layers of apple, starting with the light, then the medium, and the dark. I've got my 2 green leaves and then the veins, which are cut from the darker green. And then I have my 2 layers of the stem, the lighter being the base, the darker being the shadow on that. Now, before I put anything on, I'm going to do a little bit of ink blending on my cardstock. Whenever I have a really simple card like this, I like to add a little bit of stenciling or ink blending. Here I'm doing both behind whatever it is I'm putting on my card. That just makes it pop a little bit. I'm using Salty Ocean Distress ink, a very simple grid stencil, and my mini ink blending tool, and a very, very light hand. Now, once that's done, I'm going to set that off to the side and put together my apple. This is really easy if you just look at the picture. You start with your base layer, which is your lightest layer, and then you're going to go to your medium color red, which is your second layer. I use a liquid glue to put this on. I think that's easiest, and it gives me the most secure with all the little bits and pieces that this cuts out. So I layer that over, and you're going to just line up the top and the right hand side. Those are the sides that line up. So whenever you're using layered SVG files or layered die cuts, look for one certain area that you need to line up each and every time. Now I like to put an acrylic block on top so that it holds everything down while that glue dries. And while that layer is drying, I'm going to put together everything else. So I have my stem and I'm going to just put that darker brown right on top. And I'm also going to put together my leaves. For my leaves, the lighter layer is the bottom layer. And then for the darker green, I cut out the veins and I just glue those on again with a little bit of liquid glue. These go really well together. These you do not have to line up perfectly. They just kind of sit on top and give that dimension all on its own. Then once I have all of that done, I'm going to put on the last layer of my apple, which is my darkest red. Now, apples come in all shapes and colors. You do not have to use reds. You can use yellows, you can use pinks, you can use greens. You can use a mixture of reds and oranges and yellows and things like that. Get inspiration from photos online and choose your colors from that. You also do not have to have a million different colors of cardstock, and I will show you at the end of this video what I do when I don't have all the colors I want. So now it's time to put this card together. I'm starting off with my frame since I need that to go on first to kind of judge where my apple sits. I added foam tape to the back of this to pop it up a little bit, give it a little dimension. And I also add a little bit of foam tape to that sentiment as well, just so it doesn't sag and fall. It just gives it that nice sturdy stability behind it as it sits on top of the card. And if it goes through the mail, it's not going to get smushed with that extra bit of foam tape behind it. I line it up and just give it a good press down. And now it's time to start adding the apple that I have my frame on. Again, I'm adding foam tape to this for a little bit of added dimension. On simple cards like this, I try to get my interest where I can. Dimension is one of those ways. I'm putting the biggest part of the apple down, the base of the apple, and I'm centering that right in the middle of that frame opening. Then I'll add my leaves. Again, these have foam tape, and I like to tuck these a little bit behind that apple just to give that more realistic look. So I add those on, and then finally I am going to add my stem. Now my stem, I did not want to put foam tape on the back of. I want to tuck it in between the apples and the leaves. So I am using a little bit of liquid adhesive. Then I'll just gently pull up that apple layer and tuck that stem right behind it, but still on top of the leaves. And that finished the first card. Really simple and easy. It's just a lot of cutting with your machine. Now, like I said, this kind of takes quite a few different colors of cardstock to do. If you don't have it, that's okay. Included in the set, you get the PNG image and you can just cut it all at once on white cardstock. Then you can use your inks to ink blend over the top and give you those different colors. So that's exactly what I did with this apple. I made it a little bit bigger, and then I used my distress inks to color this in. I used Worn Lipstick, Festive Berries, and Barn Door on my apple. Then on my leaf, I used Crushed Olive for the lighter layer and Peeled Paint for the darker veins on top. For my stem, I used Brush Corduroy and Vintage Photo for that nice shadow. Very, very simple and easy to do. Just ink blend right over the top of it. You could even ink blend just the whole piece of paper or use your ink pad to color paper and then cut out with your machine. A lot of different ways you can get this layered look without having a ton of cardstock. I'm going to make this card exactly the same way. Simple cards, I like to get my interest where I can. I'm using that same grid stencil, but in this case, I am using my little brush tool to do that ink blending. If you have trouble with many ink blending tools, check these out. These are just like the ones you would get from a craft company, but a fraction of the price. They are on Amazon. I've made a video about them. I've had them for years now and use them and use them and use them. They're still holding up really well. I washed them a ton. I love these little brushes. I'm using the same color of ink, Salty Ocean, and this just gives me more control. I feel like these do a better job of blending for me. It is all about personal preference, but I wanted to throw those into this video too. Now it's time to put on the apple. Again, I'm going to use that foam tape on the back of the apple, and I'll pop this up right in the center of the card front. I should mention both of my cards are A2 in size. If you are new to card making, I do have a free printable, also a video that I will leave linked in the top right hand corner, all about making card bases. So the printable's on my blog, but you can watch the video first and follow that link from there. And it just teaches you how to make your own card bases because buying them can get pricey. I did the same thing with this apple. I popped those leaves up and tucked them behind the apple. And then I added the stem in between the apple and the leaves with a little bit of liquid adhesive. Now for the sentiment on this one, I did something a little different. I love these little sentiments that I cut out with my Cricut as well. They almost look like label tape, which is the look I was going for. This one says thank you. I'll pop these over up on my Etsy shop. They're nothing much, but I love the way these looks on cards, and I've used them quite often here, so I might as well throw them up over there too. But really simple and easy, quick teacher cards, but with that layered SVG cut, it just adds so much interest. You don't need much more. That's going to do it for me today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you haven't subscribed already, you can do that now. Don't forget, all the supplies I used are down in the description box below, as well as the SVG files. You can find those over on my Etsy shop, link in the description. Happy crafting, everyone.